अष्टसखी की हरे कृष्णा। श्री श्री राधा माधव अष्टसखी की जय। पंचतत्व भगवान की जय। राजापुर जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मई की जय। गौर निताई की जय। Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Very, very warm welcome to everybody for this morning's Japa Yagna. Firstly, on behalf of our leader, Mathurapati Prabhu, we thank all the Japa leads who come in and did their service nicely. We move on to the second part of the program for the morning Japa session, which is now the Bhagavatam. And you all know we are doing in a wonderful series. Just a short kirtan before we get into the today's words. Jayo Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari Gaura Hari. Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Ananta Dev. Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Ananta Dev. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol. Thank you very much to our leader Mathurapati Prabhu for giving me, all of us, a chance to purify ourselves. So seeking blessings of everybody before I start sharing today's verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devin Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading from Canto 1, Chapter 8, titled Prayers by Queen Kunti. We are in the 29th verse. I would request someone to repeat. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Na veda kaschet bhagavan sikirsitam.
Na veda kaschet bhagavan sikirsitam.
Taveha manasa nirnam vidambanam.
Taveha manasya nirnam vidambanam.
Na yasya kaschet daito shikarhisid.
Na yasya kaschit daitosti karhichid.
Devascha yasmin visamatir nirnam.
Devasya cha yasmin vishama matirnam.
Devascha yasmin visamatir nirnam.
Dvishyascha yasmin vishama matirnam.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Word to translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. We can even do the word to word meaning. Na does not, Veda known, Kaschit anyone, Bhagavan, O Lord, Chikirsitam, pastimes, tava, your, ihamanasya, the worldly, like the worldly men, nirnam, of the people in general. Okay, nirnam is of the people in general. Vidambanam, misleading, na, never, yasya, his, kaschit, anyone, daitya, object of specific favor, astik, there is, karhisit, anywhere, devasya, object of envy, cha, and ya, yasmin, onto him, visama, partially, mati, conception, nirnam, of the people. Translation. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and so are misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. So today's purport is a very long one. So we'll try to, as and when required, pick out a few lines and then share it. So let me tell, prayers seek blessings from Guru and all the previous acharyas. Soma Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurunmilita Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tham Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vishnu Padaya Krishna Parishta Bhutale Srimate Jai Pataka Swami Nitinamini Namo Acharya Padaya Nitaya Kapaya Padaya Gaura Patadam Padaya Nagaragunam Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Today's verse, we are reading from 1, 8 and 29. Naveda Kaschit Bhagavam Sikirsitam. Very beautiful. Again, we are in one of the best series. We all know Kunti Maharani's prayers is so special that we have a separate book titled Teachings of Queen Kunti Maharani by Srila Prabhupada. So, so very nicely we see Lord's, how to see the Lord's pastime is mentioned very nicely in these verses. So if we can choose two concepts which we can pick from this shloka, what happens? All these pastimes are bewildering. So, or in a way, bewildering pastimes of the Lord, and how Lord is equal to all the living entities. So people cannot understand the pastimes. It says for common people, it is very bewildering. Okay, Kunti Maharani is stating that common people have a very different conceptions in their mind, especially for Krishna. Okay, if we have to categorize them, say some will say Krishna never existed in the history. All this is mythology, bluff, or a hoax. Those kind of theory they'll have. Then a few are there who says Krishna is there. This section I cannot understand, so it cannot exist. Types, they believe that a little better, but which they can't comprehend. They'll say it's not there. Or another category which will say, yeah, I agree Krishna is there, but this Ras Leela is a little overrated. Things like that. They think they can comment. And obviously the last category, very rarely found, devotees who understand everything as it is, and they do not have any complaint of any of the pastimes of Krishna, right? We have many politicians also these days, they say, yeah, the Balya Leela is good, but later, he's not good, or, his philosophy is okay, but however, this is not nice, like we have different categories like this, okay? Just a moment. So, or we have the other one. We'll say, okay, if Krishna can do this pastime, we can also do. Why not we? We find a lot of them, which Prabhupada used to always chastise, and our parampara was always taking on this Mayavadi, right? So they think Krishna is in the pinnacle of Brahman, and so I am also Brahman, and if Krishna can do it, I can do it. I heard in one of the lecture, many come into Vrindavan and show danda to the Lord and say, look, I am here, I am also you, something like that. So they have this different conception, again, their own. So Krishna does, one is your Nitya Leela, spiritual world, and the Srishti, that is the creation and annihilation, right? So most of them just cannot understand this creation. Okay, forget the entire process, even a small portion of it, they do not have it. It's all bewildering for them, how this entire universe is arranged nicely. Even I heard that Markandeya Rishi, I'm sure all of you know the story, but we will just hear about him. He wanted to learn all the, how this universe takes place, all that creation he was very, very interested in. He got the boon, right? That's why of staying in this, I think, 7 kalpas. So, because he wanted to know how this creation and destruction happens, and somehow in one such destruction, somehow or the other, he was saved from the water and then gets the darshan of the Lord. Anyone can say what was the darshan he got?
Vatapatra Sai.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Mataji. So the one which the feet was licking. So by Lord's mercy, somehow he enters the mouth of the Lord, and there he sees everything is going on as it is, no destruction. So he had the darshan of the illusory Bahiranga Shakti of the Lord, right? So how, but now why I said this is how devotees bewilder, even devotees get bewildered. But how is it? It's with a lot of love, it's with faith, it's very different. See, Lord's pastimes, many devotees also are bewildered, but it is a pleasurable, or rather they enjoy. Mother Yashoda saw the entire universe, okay? But in Krishna was small, but that did that deteriorate her love and affection? No. She had even increased affection for Krishna. So common people, these pastimes are bewildering because they do not have the connection with Krishna, with Guru and Krishna, with devotees. They do not have the connection. Actually, very unfortunate. I'll tell you why unfortunate. From Bhagavatam, we can hear that there were many demons, right? What were they doing? They were constantly in a very thinking about Lord in a very unfavorable way of the Supreme Lord. They also have got good destinations. Okay, and you all know how in Kurukshetra, even the other side, they all got that because they saw when Krishna, when they were leaving the body. So that is why we say sometimes demons are also, in a way, if we can use the word, lucky. And those common people who do not get the connection, they are very, very unfortunate. That's why Srila Prabhupada is trying to tell in this purport that Lord is always equal, and it depends on the person, recipient of the mercy. Okay, how much is he able to accept the mercy? Prabhupada actually almost quotes three categories. One, who reject the services of Krishna. They do not want any concept of God in life. They just kind of always closed. And the second category, a little pious. We know that 4 types, as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, right? They are more like a middle category. And the top class, who serve Krishna without any material desires, just for the pleasure of the Lord, right? And even before that, Prabhupada gives the very wonderful example, sun example, right? I mean, you cannot sit in a cave, dark room and keep complaining that I'm not getting sunlight. I'm not getting sunlight. You need to just come out of the dark room. That, like I said, the middle class is just a little better. They come out, but they still sit in a shadow place and say, still complaining. But whereas pure devotees, they just simply stand and they receive the wholesome sunlight, right? Bhagavatam has got a lot of references. Prithu Maharaj, how beautifully he's glorified, right? I mean, almost the position of doing the 100th Ashwamedha Yagna, and the Lord comes and says, you just you finish 99, right? You are you're going to get your association with four Kumaras, you will return to my abode. Why do you want to do this? And all this, imagine Vishnu is having conversation with Indra around. So that kind of glorification, Lord himself came and discussed and sorted, So that is the kind of people who we have as references to learn from. But we are lucky. Why? Devotees, we all have the temple. We come daily, we can see the original form. Remember, this is the original Shyamasundara form which Lord is in. And we get to see this wonderful dressing of the Lord. We get attracted to our dear Lordship. Then, sometimes, the mind protests to accept this human pastimes, right, of the Lord. Sometimes, we need to, many of them say, oh, all this, he's also was born in a human, but we know that from Bhagavad Gita, clearly it mentions, fourth chapter itself, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, everything is Divyam. So Arjuna asked, how is this, in the very beginning, right? Arjuna asked, Imam Vivaswan Yogam Proptavan Ahamavyam, Vivashwan Manave Praha. How is this? You know all this knowledge? Then Lord clearly says, I have instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivashwan, to Manu, all that. Then he says, okay, as you have spoken in the past, but how do I understand this? Arjuna, we both are from this. Arjuna is trying to ask, I'm from the same age. How do I understand? We both are from the same age, more or less, right? So then again, Krishna smiles. Just a couple of verses later, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tat tava Arjuna tanye aham veda sarvani natvam veda param tapaha. What is he saying? The personality of Godhead says that many births both you and I have passed. I remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. So, Krishna is not human, although he performs human-like pastimes, right? See, we are going to be hearing some wonderful pastimes, going forward. We're still in prayers. When we go to, I think the next, or Bhishma Dev, just one or two chapters later, he glorifies, the way he glorifies Krishna when he is going to just leave the body is amazing. Some verses, like we know Krishna is all attractive, right? So our conception, we can appreciate, we go to our Gandharvika Giridhari and we say, wow, he's so beautiful. Why? Because our dear pujaris make a wonderful effort to dress them up so nicely so that somehow or the other common people can come and get attracted. You recollect, even in during the Mahabharata and Kurukshetra war, Krishna, while he was going to Duryodhana, he was making extra effort to wear the pagada and other things. Yudhishthira was asking, where are you living? Why so much extra dressing? He said, I'm going to see Duryodhana. He cannot see my internal, only the externals matter for him. Like that, for us, sometimes we need all this dressing up. But the way Bhishma Dev was, describing when Krishna was actually in the battlefield, he was riding his chariot, dirt all around. Even some of the Bhishma Dev's arrows have actually gone and pierced, blood bleeding, and like sweating. In that, he glorifies Krishna. So that is why I said pure devotees find beauty, and they can describe that is actually all attractiveness. Even his sweat, everything about Krishna can be glorified. And it's some wonderful verses we are going to see going forward. So it's important that we better get attached to Krishna. Otherwise, like Gopal Krishna Prabhu very nicely said in the previous verse, time will take away everything, especially that we are most attached to. So that's why these prayers of Kunti Maharani is so important, especially for those who are struggling in life. Now, who will say, I am not struggling? I can't see many hands, but all of us definitely we are all struggling. But we have something to meditate upon, right? We all agree that, I'm sure all of us agree that we are special because we have Krishna consciousness. Okay. So in a way, though it's a paradox, we can say, though in this Dukhalayam, we are all happy. Probably happy is not the right word. We feel loud, or we are blissful, or peace is commonly used is a better word. I know it's a paradox, but I'll just tell you my personal realization here, if I can take 30 seconds. So what could be the biggest tragedy of in anyone's life? Losing our loved ones, right? Common challenge. So I've said this many times, but I like to repeat this. During my father's death, rather leaving the body, somehow there is this, whatever you say, there's a little time of grief, right? That's the time when most of them don't speak to you. They kind of feel that we should leave this, give him some private time. And suddenly you find no one speaking, a lot of rituals, a little sad, but what kept me going, right, was that the gratefulness, or rather the full of gratitude that Srila Prabhupada has given us this process. Somehow the mercy of all the Vaishnavas, the way we could send off the final send off, the chanting, the senior Vaishnavas coming in, it almost made it like the neighbors came and asked, what was the festival yesterday? So that's a kind of our dear leader sitting right next to me throughout this entire process. So much reassuring it was. That's what I meant when I'm saying it could be a moment of grief, but what made it beautiful is that the devotees were there. The entire Krishna consciousness, that the way we were taught about chanting, everything else took away all the negatives, and made us, even in the moment of grief, that we are at peace. We have Krishna with us. We have Guru and Krishna with us. We have devotees with us. So that's the point I was trying to make. So in every situation, we have these four choices, maybe three negative, or we can say two negatives, two positives. Okay. Whenever we are struggling, what we do, we can choose to suffer. When I say suffer, we start complaining, we start whining, acting very impulsively, fighting, whatever, not accepting, okay, what we cannot change, right? That comes in your tamoguna category. Now, the second choice is, because we are not able to accept, what happens, we immediately start looking at stimulation, which means you are angry, you are complaining, but how you can get away? By your choosing your Netflix, your YouTube, hours of watching, right? Why? Because we want to stay away. We just want to escape from that. Okay. How we can get distracted, getting into social media, whatever. I'm just giving a small example. But what we do, because we are suffering, we stimulate. Now, this also is in Rajoguna. Now, what are the positive choices? Let's look at the positive choices. The satisfaction. That is the gratitude practices. Maybe yoga, whatever, your breathings, you're coming to temple. That comes under your Sattva Guna. Sattva Guna is for your satisfaction. That's what I meant. So the positive, it's like it is on the positive side. Now the last, but which we need to all practice, is surrender. That is shelter. Okay. We don't know anything else. Simply surrender to Guru and Krishna. That transcends these three. So what we'll again summarize, what we choose is the first: suffering, complaining, whining, right? That comes under your tamoguna. Your stimulation, because you are not able to manage suffering, you jump into stimulation, and that is still an rajoguna. And we get into some practices, some coming downs, coming to temple, meeting devotees, that comes under your sattva guna. But if you transcend everything, you go to Shuddha Sattva, right? So how we are in a right now, we want happiness, so we are chanting. Actually, how we should reach in a stage. Like I said, we want happiness, we are chanting. But actually, we should chant because we are happy. I hope you get this, right? We chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra because we want, let me ask a question. We want dash of Krishna. Can anyone fill in the blanks? We chant Hare Krishna mantra because we want dash of Krishna. Okay.
Mercy of Krishna.
Okay. Or what we say, our final aim for doing all this is?
Peace, Prabhuji. Peace.
Okay. Anyone else? Quickly.
Hare Krishna. Shelter, Prabhuji.
Okay. Shelter. Love of Krishna. Krishna Prema, right? We all are doing this because we want Krishna Prema. So we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra because we want love of Krishna. Pure devotees chant because they love Krishna. That is the difference, right? So we need to move from, we want to chant because we want peace, mercy, all that is fine, nothing wrong. But we should reach the stage because we chant because we are happy, all right? Now how it is, yes, it's okay, it's all right. We are disturbed, so we take the beat. That is even still better than going and calling a friend who's going to give you a wrong advice. But we need to reach there. We need to chant because we are happy. Okay, and from chanting Hare Krishna to seeking love for Krishna, which is correct through the right process, but we need pure devotees chant because they love Krishna. Okay, so what do we do most of the time? We normally choose the first one, suffer. Many negative thinking, then we generally go to the next option, and that way we go back to suffering. So we get stuck in that first two itself. Right? Satisfaction is much better. Like I was talking, some breathing exercise, yoga, coming to the temple, praying, chanting. May not be pure bhakti, but we still very happy to hear good lectures. We're very happy when we meet devotees. So it is still better, right? Get into the satisfaction, gratitude, that space. But what we need to finally aim is the surrender, the shelter space. Okay, we need to enter the fourth stage where we simply open our arms, just simply surrender to Guru and Krishna. Understanding, it's not blind surrender. After understanding, which is the process, after you can question philosophy. I mean, you cannot question Krishna's pastime, but you can question philosophy, understand it, question it. Once you understand, read through, and then don't start having your own concocted versions. Just simply raise our hands, learn how to depend on Krishna, learn how to ask for help. A very important aspect of Krishna consciousness, because we think we have to just simply follow. No, you need to ask question, ask for help. Okay. Sometimes, I mean, that's how we say, right? In all the sadhana process, these are all just sadhana processes, because that process in which we make some space for ourselves, right? To hear a good lecture, do some kirtan, maybe make a garland or deity worship, or keep things ready for tomorrow. Something where we actually get into the shelter space, basically dependency. Allow Krishna's plan for you. You don't have to every time say, I want it, I have this plan, I have to do it this way. Have the patience, have the faith in Guru, and then wait for Krishna's plan. It could be different. So we need to get into the shelter space of Guru and Krishna and fully depend on Krishna. How shelter space, how is shelter space, or how we get into, or how do we meditate? No big secret, simply Shravanam. The more we hear, the more we meditate. Of course, there are some wonderful verses in the third canto. I got just lucky to read them. I can at least clearly say, when Kapilidev is discussions with his mother, he says, meditate on three things. Of all the other symbols, Kapilidev says we need to meditate on those four symbols: thunderbolt, your elephant god, flag, lotus flower. Then he says meditate on this reddish color of You can see Radha Madhav down, right? Beautiful lotus feet, and then toenails, toes of the Supreme Lord. They're like, he explains that they're dazzling like pearls. Even in Garidari, sometimes they would have put a ring, but if you really see, those are dazzling like pearls. So, I mean, these are some processes, but the most common, hear about Lord's pastimes, just simply hear all our, remember, bona fide hearing from our parampara, we have from our Guru Maharaj and his disciples. And by hearing, we develop that love for Krishna. And finally, someday we can move from chanting for peace, chanting for, Sankata Bandhara Venkatramana types, we move away from only at that time remembering Lord to, picking up the bead and saying, I'm very happy, thank you very much, Lord, and then chanting for that. So conclusion is, common people, pastimes are bewildering. Why common people? Brahma, Shiva also got bewildered, right? And so, Lord, then what did Brahma say? You cannot speculate. We cannot understand you after all that. Best way is to just get your full mercy. Just simply hear and glorify pastime. Brahmaji himself said. So what to talk of common people? So if we need to make our life successful, grab this chance of Krishna consciousness, and firstly to make our life perfect, and then, like always Prabhupada says, then make other people's life successful. This is a few points which I could kind of highlight from my limited knowledge and hearing. So if I made any mistakes, please feel free to correct me, and thank you again to our leader for giving us a chance so that I could purify. And please add any points, Prabhuji. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Patit Pavan Gurudev ki jai. Hare Krishna.